Excellent. We're back in business, baby.
We're so back.
Where am I? Oh, okay. Let me get ready. This is a great intro. This is better than the last one. Hello, and welcome to the much better version of Lore Crimes. You know my name, and I am the host for today, for I have locked Tom away within the sandpaper room. I am joined yet again by none other than Canada's shortest resident, Sweden's widest resident, and a man from Holland. Isn't that weird?
That's so much less bad than I expected it to be this time.
Today we'll be discussing a rather in-depth theory I've put together about the Necrons and humanity and the connections between the two.
Hell yeah, yay. I'm very excited. And yes, hello, my name is Lucas, or better known as Moots.
Hi, I'm Alex, also known as the Gaming Storyteller. I was dragged into this call like 5 minutes ago. I do not know where I am. They dragged me out of the milking room and I'm scared.
It's gonna be okay, boy. You're gonna go back into the milking room afterwards.
I want to see my family.
Look, after this, you're going to get a break, all right? And then Eli's going in there next.
Aaron just saw my message. That's so funny. Hello, Astartes Anonymous crowd. I am Eli, and I just talked about the entire history of the Necrons for over an hour, which was supposed to be 10 minutes, and then they said something about ending recordings, and I said, "Oh, did you guys end your recordings?" And Moot said, "No." Did you? And I said, "I'm not recording." And so now we're talking about this again, and I'm going to be a lot faster.
Hopefully, we're on a time schedule now.
So anyway, yeah, Tom, just slap on that meme that Eli posted.
It's full disclosure, in Lore Crimes, Andy does literally everything for us, so I'm used to just showing up.
Just riding the wave.
In fact, through a series of very, avoidable events, it wasn't even supposed to be today's recording. I wasn't supposed to be here. It was supposed to be about Primarchs and how strong they are with a tier list and Aaron and all that jazz. But no, the cancer came back and so did I. And then the amnesia struck, apparently.
I'm just here to troll, I guess. I'm a secret agent from Lore Crimes. I'm just trying to make your episodes slightly worse.
Yeah, seriously. Next week on Lore Crimes, Eli gets fucking disemboweled by a very angry man.
Fucking enemy spy in the base over here.
I was about to say, he is just haywire the system, trying to take us down over here. I knew it!
Go back to your fucking YouTube shorts.
Oh, man!
Oh, no.
No, I'm sorry, your YouTube moots.
Oh, no! Why am I getting dragged into this?
Because I'm suffering and all of you must suffer, alright?
What did I do? I just showed up.
You don't get a say in this, Dutch!
Yeah, Dutch is a hero. He just showed up off of nothing.
What a legend. Oh.
What were you doing? Nothing!
I was editing.
You were sitting in your fucking government-regulated cell awaiting for instruction.
I was sitting in my goon cave gooning. What do you want from me?
Jesus Christ. We're out here on the podcast. We're out here in the space hole, straight up jorking it.
My peanuts.
By it, well, let's just say our peanuts. Oh, hi, YouTube monetization.
It's alright, I added the T. It said peanuts. It's all good.
Try saying peanuts without the T.
Okay, enough of your mind games, fucking fungus wizard.
Alright. What's an opening?
Anyways, models of the week. Red, you wanna...
Yes, models of the week. Behold, Ratman on Rat Mount.
Yes, by Mr. Gene B.
Oh,
He is glorious.
Yeah, Gene B, a very smart lad. B, I don't know anything about Gene B. I mean, you could be smart, but I mean, you're painting skates, so I don't think everything in your life is going to plan.
I really like the skin on the beastie.
Yes.
And he's holding a small gun, by the way.
that is a really cool... Where is that model from?
the new box.
Yes.
Oh, that's a really cool sculpt.
It's funny because I asked the exact same question in the previous recording.
I got you covered.
In the previous live. It's like Dark Souls up in this bitch. All the enemies respond, except Aaron DC.
Fucking, what was it I said last recording as well? No original thought.
It's just regurgitated bullshit.
But it is a very good model. It is super well painted.
Yes.
I previously stated in the last live that I like the warp stone.
Yes. Very good.
That's probably just the detail and the highlights. It's very nice.
I'm a massive fan of like the darker edges on the warp stone itself. I think that looks incredible, especially from a distance. It's cool.
Oh my god, are we literally the same person? This is exactly what I said as well.
He's just like me for real.
Jesus Christ. History repeats itself.
Time is a flat circle.
This place is a fucking prison.
I'm going insane.
I don't even know what's going on.
They locked me in a room with rats. Rats make me insane.
It's like deja vu in here. Goddamn.
God, I'd love to see what the premiere live chats is saying right now.
You're gonna be so fucking confused. But yes.
Good, let them be confused. They're unworthy of fucking non-confusion.
Oh, but yes.
Anyway, very, very good rat man on Rat Steed.
Very good. Thank you very much, Gene B. So, Eli.
Oh, okay. I have chosen Dr. Strong's friendship, Ripper Swarms, and as I had said a long time ago and many ages gone, that I really like this model. It's very nostalgic for me. I really like the blue on the chin on the back and the skin. Like the light plays on the skin very nicely. Like Moots said that he likes the blood on the base and the models a lot. They're nice and bloody. You did the eyeballs very well. They're very pretty, very fun. I like them very much. Good work, Dr. Strong.
Aaron said he liked to paint yellow eyes on his, and then we called him unoriginal, and then we made fun of him for about 5 minutes. Aaron's not here, so he can't defend himself, so I can basically strike out with impunity.
Yeah, they look awesome.
Yeah, no, I really like them. Not referring too much to the previous recording.
There's gonna be a lot of that, by the way, folks, in this episode, I guarantee you. Let's try and not refer it too much. But yes, it is. It's just very glossy and like disgusting looking.
They look wet, and I don't like that. They look slippery.
I like my Ripper Swarms.
I don't like the noises they would make.
They just like slide out of your hands.
It's like a fish.
It's like trying to grab onto wet spaghetti. You know, it just.
I don't like that noise.
I wonder if they taste like lobster.
Probably.
Ooh, is that our next tier list? Like most delicious Xeno species?
Humans are S tier because they taste just like pork.
Tasty.
Oh yes, yummy.
Anyway, moving on. Next model of the week before we get too distracted.
And this is a freebooter dreadnought.
Wow.
This is a spectacular model.
By Dangerous Cows. Huh? It's a freebooter. Oh, whoa. Is that better?
That is immaculate.
It's incredible. The lightning on the sword, just very fancy. And it's pink.
What a beautiful miniature. Oh, the peg leg. Yes. What an insane conversion.
Aaron, I said we weren't referred to it too much, but Aaron said something very, he said something about it in the previous recording, like the gradients is fucking superb. That shit looks super fucking nice.
Also, I love the little jewelry chains he used for like the leg, like the stone leg. It's so cool. That's a beautiful miniature. Great job.
It sort of looks like a You know, the fucking, what's it called? The steering wheel of the boat, you know? Fucking, what's it called?
The wheel. I don't know.
I don't know. Pirates speak.
I don't know my ship biology. I'm sorry.
We're very bad pirates. Ah, yes, the wheel of time.
I don't fuck with the water. There's fucking sharks in there, all right?
But sharks good though. Sharks nice. they very kind. They be poopies of the sea. I love sharks. Sharks good.
If not friends, why friendship?
Exactly. Thank you.
What about a fucking great white is friend-shaped?
True.
Round.
It's rotund. Have you seen those bad boys? Hell yeah.
Okay, the same thing you just said can be equated to orcas as well, and you keep talking shit about them.
Orcas are absolute assholes. Fuck those guys. No, I'm just kidding.
Side note, have you seen that video of that great white just swimming along the surface of the fucking sea, and then an orca comes out of nowhere and just takes it the fuck out? That looked personal. I don't know what that shark did, but it had it coming.
Freaking absolutely apex
I love
predator, dude.
orcas.
So
They're
cool.
great. People post more orca themed stuff. Anyway. Yeah, speeding in. Anyway, as you stated from a past life, we're going to be talking about a theory about Necrons, and Eli gave us the rundown of the Necron stuff. That took almost an entire hour of my life. So I would ask Eli. Eli likes the Necrons. I too like the Necrons.
I really like the Necrons.
Not the Necroffs. 10 minutes. Yeah, basically, if you want to give us the rundowns of the Necrons.
Let's get it.
I'll keep it at 10 minutes. 10 minutes, baby.
You say that, but I do not believe you.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I will not take an hour and a half this time.
I believe in you.
Thank you, Mr. Moots. Okay, so the Necrons used to be the Necron tier, and they lived on a planet with a sun that was too close, whatever, that was high radiation, so they had mega cancer all the time, and they had very short lives, probably around 30-ish to 40-ish years, and then they would just die. Despite this, they got technologically advanced over the years. Eventually, they would leave their planet on these ships of living metal, but even after leaving their planet, the cancer stayed. They would eventually come into contact with these big old frog lizard magic guys called the Old Ones. The Old Ones had the power to create life and literally make species and tamper with life. Their whole thing was tampering with life. And the Necrons said, "Can we stop dying of super cancer all the time, please?" And the Old Ones said, "No, we don't want to tamper with life."
They said cringe.
All they deserve, the Old Ones deserve everything they got.
Oh, my homies hate old ones.
I would curb stomp an old one if I saw him right now.
Goddamn.
Anyways, I'd take his arms off and beat him to death with them, like frick.
I grab an infant old one and swing it by its legs on the concrete.
They deserved it. They deserve it. Yeah, baby. Take it. Okay, I'll stop the old one. Hey, I only got like 9 more minutes probably. So they said, "Man, that sucks, and we're gonna try to kill you now." And so the Necron tier warred against the Old Ones. They had very advanced technology at this point, but it didn't really matter because they didn't really understand the warp. At the time, they theoretically had 0 psychic ability, to what we know, but the Old Ones are mega wizards from space, and they have the webway, so they were able to outmaneuver the Necron tier at every turn and use their magic powers to completely obliterate them. Now, at this point, the dynasties, because it's a dynastic society, dynasties, and they're very Egyptian themed, they were pretty shattered at this point, so they all kind of just vied for power and were in this big civil war. At this time, while this was going on, Zazarek, the Silent King, who's the head honcho of the Necrons, is the Silent King. He's part of the Triarch. The 2 other parts of the Triarch speak for the Silent King, hence the silent part. Then it goes into overlords and lords and etc., etc. It's a very nobility class-based society. Even when they were high-tech, extremely high-tech, the nobles still lived in the center of the city. Commoners lived on the outside of the city in huts and mud pits and stuff. Mud huts, I guess I should say, because commoners were less conscious, less alive than the nobles. The nobility are almost akin to gods compared to the commoners. It's very Egyptian-like, right? The nobility have royal heka, which is basically if a noble says something, it becomes reality from their sheer force of will. If the noble says something and it's not true to reality, it is your job to make it reality.
Anything for you, my queen.
Yes, because there comes into contact with these primordial ethereal stardust beings that feed off of stars, and there was actually one that was feeding off of their original star, I do believe.
Which might have also been the reason why they got so much shit from their star.
Yes. And I'm refraining from saying more things. I want to talk about Necrons. Anyways, so he talks to this Catan. It's Mefret Ran, the Deceiver. He didn't know his name at the time, we all assume. And the Deceiver tells Cesaric that the Old Ones were actually their old enemies as well, and that's why they were kind of reduced to these conscienceless drifting things. And so Cesaric and the Frontiers make these Catan bodies out of necrodermis that they then inherit and kind of shape. They become images of the Necron gods, which were fairly important, but they also had a lot of ancestor worship. Death was obviously very important in their society. They kind of planned more for the dead, and the stones were very sacred because, stones don't die and structures don't die. So you would spend a lot of if you were noble at least, it would be more important to kind of erect monuments of yourself than actually your death was more important than your life almost. But anyways, the Catan take on the aspects of the Necron gods, and they introduce this thing called biotrans.
They don't take on aspects. The Catan are just their aspects. What they do is they possess the statues that represent the Necron gods.
Yeah, they look like they're gods.
Yeah, they just look like them. They're not literally taking.
Yeah, well, that's what. Yeah,
associated.
No, I'm just saying they looked like them. Sorry, that's all I meant. So the Catan then kind of use their reality bending knowledge because they're gods as well. They were kind of there from day zero of the universe. They use their reality bending knowledge and combine it with the Necron technology, which is unbelievably advanced, basically magic.
Yeah, it only got more advanced with the Catan, by the way.
They do this thing called biotransference, where they send every single person of society through these big, horrible factories that strips away your flesh and replaces it with necrodermis, the living metal, and it kind of imprints your consciousness as code or whatever you want to call it into the psyche of these necrodermis shells. Basically, from how it's said, the Catan feasted on the souls of all the Necron that day. Every Necron died, and each Necron is just an imprint of the person who died there. Consciousness was not gained, it was lost for basically all the commoners. Semi-consciousness is there for people kind of between commoner and nobility. And then nobles kind of kept consciousness fully for the most part. Often lost part of yourself, though, going through biotransference, as theoretically they lost their souls. Some Necrons seem like they might actually still have souls, like Xandrak and Oberon, but it's very hard to say. And
more the higher up in the echelon, so to say, you were, the more you were allowed to keep your own personality for the most part. But it also depends on the Necron Lord and how much need they have of individual thought process.
Yeah.
But
yeah. That's a good way of saying it. So Cesaric now looks over his empire. Cesaric has the command protocols to command literally every Necron in existence. And he realizes that this is the most horrible curse he could have ever placed upon his people. And he made the worst mistake anyone has ever made in the entire galaxy. And he doomed his entire species. And he's very sad. But there's no time to be sad because they're going to go kill some frogs from space. And the war in heaven starts. This is the most insane, unbelievable war you could ever imagine. In fact, you cannot imagine it. It is that crazy. Trillions of people died pretty much every day. Stars were thrown at each other. Reality itself was shattered. Because of the war in heaven, the warp is the way it is. Because of how reality shattering it was. The warp got a bunch of turmoil and became all crazy and terrible and, the way it is today. It made the enslaver stuff happen. The Old Ones made the Eldar and the Krork, and they fought in this crazy war. The Eldar, of course, were the psychic race. Krork were the warriors. Krork are now the orcs today, and they were basically the super version of what the orcs are today. But in the end, Necron supremacy, of course. Necrons win the war in heaven. We kill all of the old ones, except for one. I still don't know if that's a fact or if that's theory, but that's what people say.
A game theory.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Matt Pat, holy shit.
Holy shit, you're back. Kill him.
Oh my gosh. Do you guys know if that's a theory or if that's official lore?
It could be anything at this point. It's one of those things that old and one of the first editions that it could just be side note or whatever. But it's not important to today's episode. Fuck the old ones. They're as good as dead.
Yeah, fair. While this is happening, the Catan are feasting on, the trillions of souls in the galaxy, and they're having a great time. They also burned the webway to a crisp. And yeah, ultimate Necron victory, as always. Then Cesaric turns around, sees the Catan feasting on souls, and says, we should kill those guys, because they are obviously like the embodiment of evil, basically. They're all absolutely awful, terrible, evil things. And the Necrons do succeed in another cataclysmic war of insane, like, it was almost as bad as the war in heaven. But they do defeat the Catan. They shatter them into pieces because you can't actually really kill them without extreme consequences because they are literally part of reality. They're part of the fabric of reality. They do kill one, which is Landagor, whatever, the Flayer, and that releases the Flayer virus onto the Necron tier. And Red was saying that it kind of released cruelty onto the galaxy. Well, there's more things we could talk about. I'm not going to talk about it, though. So then the Silent King sees his dynasties. They're all kind of broken and shattered from the two crazy wars. And he sees the Eldar are kind of having their resurgence into the galaxy. They're going to be the next big thing, sliced bread. And he says, all right, we're going to go to sleep for 60 million years. Let that play out. And then we're going to wake up and take over the galaxy again because it's rightfully ours, and we're going to take it back from whoever is around. And he was right in the end. Like the Eldar, did fade out just like he thought they would. In fact, Orkin the Diviner was the one who told Cesaric like the 60 million year number, but that's getting into things that I shouldn't talk about right now. So they went to sleep in these big giant tomb worlds, which were literally just that. They're tombs inside of worlds, so there's like trillions of Necrons in these things. And now they're waking up, and they're pretty epic, if I do say so myself. That was my speed run of Necron history. I'll leave it at that.
Basically, Necrons were the original. My problems are now everyone's problems type of guys.
They were the original haters. I love them.
Honestly.
When you think of the CEO grind set, that's the Necrons. You can't listen to you. I'm on my CEO grind set, and just whoever's editing this video just put that picture of American Psycho Christian Bale walking down the hall.
Patrick Bateman.
That Patrick Bateman, that's the Necrons on their way to reconquer the galaxy.
So the reason that demons exist and that the Horus Heresy happened is because the old ones didn't help out the Necrons.
No.
Yeah, basically, the super bridge version of that is a bunch of space frogs said no to helping cancer patients, and then out of sheer resentment, they broke the universe. Which is honestly something I strive to be.
I strive to be that petty, honestly.
If there's one thing I could do, it would be that. That's my ultimate wish.
And let it be known, the old ones could have just said, okay, there you go, your cancer's cured, now you can live to be like 1,000 years old or whatever. But they didn't. And I guess one little thing, the Necrons did start to live a bit longer at the height of their society, but it's still probably only like at most a few hundred years. And when you're comparing yourself, if you compared yourself to a tree, to a god like who lives forever, it still doesn't feel like very long. Also, I'm sorry if I forgot anything important. This was just off the top of my head.
It doesn't matter. Most of the people don't even listen. I put us on the background. Let's be honest. Anyway, so that was the brief history to the Necrons. So before continuing on, like we said before, that we'll be talking about a theory that I've put a lot of thought to myself. Anyway, there's a few groundworks that need to be placed down. is one thing that everyone needs to notice is that throughout the universe, there seems to be a theme with how life is propagated. And we know for a fact that Necrons are the oldest living thing, or oldest mortal thing, quote unquote. And they have something that is common with most races in the galaxy. They have 2 legs, 2 arms, 2 hands, 5 fingers on each hand, 2 eyes, nose, mouth, all that stuff, and their ribs. If you look at Necrons, they look like a human skeleton, basically, because they're based off of the bodies of the Necron tier, just ripping off all the useless fleshy bits, basically, right? That is a theme throughout the universe. Sentient life has 2 legs, 2 arms, 5 fingers, 2 eyes, nose, all that jazz, right? With variations. I mean, there's some Xenoses that are super crazy, like those orb heads with the tentacles in that one Codex art piece, and what is it? Tyranids, but that's outside the galaxy.
Give us more Tau Xenos, please.
Life is very varied in the galaxy, but there is a certain common denominator in how life seems to be looking, at least from what we have seen in official art.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mainly the most powerful races within the galaxy, that is. And there's a common connection between all of them that I will get to shortly. Anyway, barring that, if you look at a Necron warrior, it looks just like a human skeleton, which is one of the first things that made me notice this connection. That they look like human skeletons, which could be fine, I guess. You could say it's a modeling point or it's a whatever, but in looking at it from a story perspective, the skeleton that they have is humanoid. It is based off their old bodies. And using the structure of what that skeleton looks like, you can probably guesstimate what they probably look like in life, right?
Yeah. Hunched over monstrosities.
That being said, I mean the warriors are hunched over, but all overlords, they stand straight. Anyway, that being said, they look human. They look like human skeletons, which is weird. Now, you think about looking at what humans look like, right? Same exact thing. They look like Necrons, basically. 2 eyes, nose, fingers, what I said. But on top of that, the connections go deeper. There are pyramids and temples on Earth that look just like Necron architecture. And Eli stated before, I don't know if he stated it now or in a past life, I don't remember, that before they went to the Great Sleep, the Necrons taught a bunch of their culture to lesser races.
Yeah, I forgot to say that this time. The Triarch Praetorians stayed awake and spread Necron culture throughout the galaxy to certain races.
Basically keep their culture alive and to have a quote-unquote slave caste whenever they wake up. They want people that understood their culture and language so they can, bring them back into the whatever.
Also, just in case they didn't wake up, so that then somebody could do it.
Did they have like these minor Great Crusades then, or was it like just technically a nobility going by, having his parade and being all fancy and getting populations under their power?
I think it was just more like a Triarch Praetorian would go to like a caveman society and kind of teach them. Yeah.
Big shiny man say power.
And teach them stuff like basic math and stuff like that.
Oh.
Give them the tools to start
and
out.
like, remember, these are Necrons, so they have, like, spending 5,000 years teaching a society on something is not a big deal to just a guy.
Are you saying that it's because of Necrons that I had to learn algebra in school?
Perhaps.
Fuck those guys, man. I hate Necrons.
Anyway, so on top of that, there's pyramids, and if Necron culture is basically Egyptian culture in the universe, you can say, there's some influence there for early human societies. Because most of early human societies, like the Mesopotamian, what's the one with the Gilgamesh in it? That's
I don't know what it's called.
Whatever. Those first societies that were born.
Wasn't that the Mesopotamian?
There's another one. I don't remember what it was.
Oh, okay.
History buffs criticize in the comments, or don't. I don't really care. Your words mean nothing to me anyway.
Oh, jeez.
Anyway, so pyramids, they look relatively close to Necrons, and there is, and it is stated in one of the old Necron codexes that the pariah gene was cultured into the human genome in order to create an anti-warp weapon so the Necrons can harvest them and turn them into Necron pariahs. And if you don't know what a pariah is, it's an old unit that is a human that has been turned into a Necron.
They're cool models.
It's kind of...
Yeah.
They were cool models. They were kind of like an old Lich Guard melee
Give
unit.
them back. Give them back, GW.
So
still canon?
basically what it is it's a human that was put through biotransference, and they popped out as Necron pariahs. Now, they're not 100% robot. They still have biological parts because they need them for the pariah gene to work, so they can be the best anti-warp weapon.
Right, yeah.
So this states two things, or a few things, that A, Necrons came to old Earth. They taught the people how to build pyramids and some of their culture, and they were there long enough to culture a pariah gene. Now, what I think is that it goes back much farther than that, because it is stated or thought that old ones were responsible for seeding life on Earth. But I think, with the similarities now, that it is more likely that the Necrons came to Earth and seeded it themselves as either a way to get biological bodies back, or to have a fresh supply of new troops to make more Necrons with, because they can't make any more Necrons. So they looked towards growing their own version of Necron tier at a less irradiated world to try and get a better caliber of warrior by harvesting these new beings that were born from Necron tier DNA and turning them into new Necrons. Or it is the fact that they made them to get bodies back, or it could be that they are so arrogant that they're like, fuck the old ones, we can make life ourselves in our own image. And then they made Necrons. Or they made humans.
Uh-huh.
And all this goes without saying that there was a shard of the dragon on Earth as well that was stayed there until it was banished to underneath Mars by the Emperor.
Was it on Earth all the time, or did it, arrive to Earth? I think that's maybe a bit unclear in the lore, but...
It never states if it arrived, if it was always there, but giving my theory, I think it makes more sense that it was there to begin with.
Yeah.
For sure, yeah.
Along with bringing in, seeding new Necron tier life that eventually became the humans, trying to make them pariahs to be better warp weapons, and trying to use them as a new source of getting more warriors out of them, it would make sense that they would bring a shard of a Catan guard with them as a sort of battery to operate whatever complex that they had on the planet, right?
It also sort of makes sense out of the perspective that, the myth of dragons has existed for quite some time on Earth. So it would be more logical if the Void Dragon had already existed on Earth for some time to sort of propagate that myth before the Emperor took it down.
That's another thing, is that every culture on this planet has a myth about dragons.
The Grim Reaper is also the Nightbringer.
As well as the Grim Reaper looks exactly like the Nightbringer.
That's true.
Or the Nightbringer looks like the Grim Reaper.
Easy aspect.
Then, as well, if you look at Catan bodies themselves, they look like human. I mean, there's some variation how they look. The Void Dragon has a big, weird headpiece, and the Deceiver has his weird tendrils. But look at their bodies and look at their facial structure. They look like humans. And Necron tier made the statues those bodies are in reverence to what they perceive to be their ultimate heroes and gods.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So why would they make them look like humans then if they did not already look like humans?
Yeah, it's the same way that we, in humanity, when we depict our gods or our saints, they're always the perfect form, to say the least.
Yeah, they're supposed to be perfect beings of us.
Yeah, so I imagine that they would have a very similar approach.
Yeah, I mean, look at Zeus, look at Roman architecture, look at Nordic architecture and carvings.
This opens up for the possibility that at some point in time there was actually some Necron tier that had the time and the will to get absolutely shredded for there to be a reference
I have
point.
40 years on this planet and I'll make them count.
I'll be damned if I let cancer and radiation rule my games.
I didn't even think about that. Oh,
The lumps are just extra buff.
oh my gosh.
God, that's fucking dedication. Holy
real.
shit.
Yeah, like why
God
can't you?
damn.
You need to learn from the Necron tier moots.
I expose my biceps to sun every single day.
I can't see it right now, but I'm flexing on you, Red. Take this.
It doesn't matter. You have no legs anyway. Anyway, so
Oh, man.
so there was a shard of the Void Dragon. The Gatan themselves look like very muscular human statues. Humans share similarities just in physiology with Necrons. But even more than just the humans share physiology with Necrons, but I'll get to that later. On top of that, Necron tech is compatible with humans, as shown by the Necron pariahs, as well as it being stated that Necron pariahs were a gene cultivated by the Necrons themselves. I mean, it was in an old White Dwarf or Codex a while back, but it has not been disputed. It hasn't been like retconned out or anything. As far as we know, Necron pariahs can still exist. They just stopped making them.
So, because they're all pariahs, right? Like no soul, stuff like that. Because at the same time, we have the Selenar of like the Luna Selenar like cults that were on Luna, and they were also like the ones making like the Sisters of Silence and things like that. They are using old technologies also from alien origins. So that so that could tie it back into that because the Emperor actually used this technology before.
Yeah. There's the whole like Calexis assassin thing that would like just went back to a Necron world, right? And then like Illuminar Caesaris and stuff. Is Calexis the null one? Is that the right assassin that I'm thinking of?
Yeah.
They went autopilot to some Necron tomb world. Just, I don't know. It's a thing.
Yeah, like there's something calling them, right? But so beyond those, the Digonobs, which is an old, if you don't know what the Digonobs are, they are humans that basically ape orc culture. Orcs call them Digonobs because they're slaves from a mining world. And these slaves in this mining world eventually broke into a tomb complex in an attempt to run a Necron tomb complex because it was a tomb world they were on, ran inside to run away from their orc jailers. The orcs chased them down to try and kill them, but the humans activated the Necron tomb world, and the tomb world recognized the humans as Necron tier, or Necrons themselves, and awoken warriors to defend them.
That is crazy.
So
that is to me the most interesting part of this theory. The fact that happens. I mean, like, there is no, as far as I know, reason for the Necrons to like because why would they protect them, right? They're I'm thinking like wild fucking guess is that if there is no Necron Lord to like control them, that maybe they just in this case were like out of like options, they just go like, yes, okay, we'll help these guys.
Because if the Necron Overlord is still asleep, the Tomb World has its own rules that it has to abide by.
Kind of.
It's coding, and if it doesn't recognize an authority figure, because even if they don't like biological life, Necrons still venerate the Necron tier, because to them it's like something they can never go back to. They honor the Necron tier bodies, and when they find a Necron tier body or a preserved one, they freak the fuck out because it's like a holy relic to them. So this Tomb World, if humans, in my theory, are based off of Necron tier DNA. They are Necrons just without all the cancer. The Tomb World sees them, reads them as Necron tier, and says, okay, they are priority number one because the Overlord's not awake yet to tell me otherwise. I will awaken this many warriors to defend them appropriately.
Yeah.
It is cool. I think, like, it'd be a stretch, but you could say that humans and Necron tier are just very closely related genetically wise.
Well, because in the theory, basically, they are Necron tier. It's just we don't call ourselves Necron tier because why would we?
No.
We're based off of them. We are what they would be if they didn't have the cancer or the sun trying to kill them.
There is I think it's like in Mastermind Kind, and I think like shout out to 40k Theories for like who made a video about something like this, that the there is Eldar tech on Earth, and there is some implication to say that Necrons and Eldars duked it out on old Earth. So there is at least some precedence to them having had a presence on.
It would make sense
in our
because
past.
there's a webway network on Earth that the Eldar constructed deep in the crust. And they probably put it there because they saw the Necrons were fucking with something on Earth, and the Necrons wanting to defend the cradle of what could possibly be a new source of bodies, like defended it in kind. But because the battle but all the aliens ended up abandoning the planet for one reason or the other. Maybe because the Void Dragon was basically unshackled and it started killing everybody. Which is I would run because it's not just a shard, it's a transcendent shard that was on Earth. It was something that was it was a above average fucking Catan shard. I mean, it was so powerful that it duked the Emperor out at a stalemate, and the Emperor couldn't kill it.
Yeah. He could just put it into permanent nappy time.
You go to sleep.
Go to your room.
Put that motherfucker in a show called like.
Here's a fun thing. Here's a fun thing I like to think about. If the Catan are quintessentially the opposite of the Warp and the Chaos Gods themselves, so by all means they are the perfect weapon against Warp Gods, because Catan can't go into the Warp the same way the Warp can't go into real space. They just are an anathema to each other. But the Catan are much more stable in terms of godly beings, where the Chaos Gods are just raw emotion made manifest, and they have no real rhyme or reason why they're called Chaos Gods.
Yeah.
But the Emperor decided to make the Primarch's half Warp thing and not half Catan thing, which tells me he could not understand how to make that work.
For sure,
Yeah. I think it's definitely like this. I think the Catan, because they are like the reality gods, right? Like I think they're because there's of course Khorne, rage, honor, those kind of things. That's like more emotional based. I think like they were just the gods of gravity, light, deception, death.
Well, I mean, the Nightbringer is the embodiment of death, and I don't mean just like Nurgle is the embodiment of death.
Yeah,
I mean, it's the embodiment of not
death.
life.
Yeah.
Like when Nightbringer kills something, he erases it from complete existence, as in your soul doesn't go to the Warp, your soul ceases to be anything.
Just like the lost recordings, snapped out of existence.
Snap back to the reality. Oops, there goes gravity.
Oh yeah.
Or like the Void Dragon is the god of machines. It can create technology just out of raw materials. It's what gave the Necrons their weapons. The Void Dragon gave them the things they needed to become the dominant life form.
Yeah.
On tabletop, it heals by drinking up machines.
Oh.
If you're running Necrons and you have a shard of the Void Dragon, it can go up to a fucking Land Raider with a sippy straw and just nip it away at the Land Raider.
Sarah just saying like that takes fucking machine slurpees.
Yeah,
yummy.
Which is is that the shard of the Void Dragon that was prisoned on Mars became the idea of the Omnissiah. Because it is stated in one of the old codexes that tech priests that venture too far into the labyrinth beneath Mars find out a horrible truth and start ripping out their machine parts.
Wow.
And it is
Mechanic is such a
implied
good book, dude.
Yeah, it's implied that something below they don't want anything to do with machines after they see it. Probably because the machine god, the void dragon, is down there and he's kind of pissed off all the time. I would be too, honestly.
They put me in nappy time and I didn't want to go sleep. Get me out!
I'm wondering what the fuck he did to keep it imprisoned. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Beyond just the obvious physical signs, there's also cultural similarities between the Necrons and the humans, where in Twice Dead King, Oltix states how humans wage war and have an arrogance that's on par with the Necrons themselves. Whether that's just something that happens when you become like a complete tyrannical dictatorship like the Imperium is, or if that's just a biological thing where you just going to the same conclusion for predecessors, right?
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Well, I mean, maybe that's just, not to get too philosophical here, but maybe that's more so a comment on, like, the nature of biological entities as a whole, how they always seem to just be warring with each other. But it is an interesting point anyway that there is that. Because, I mean, when we look at, like, all factions in 40k, there's always some infighting. But it is certainly true that there is that similarity, that innate, just seemingly ineptitude to be able to work together.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, it just seems like a piece from a writing perspective, that seems like a very weird thing to draw attention to, unless you're trying to draw a conclusion or a connection between the two factions. I mean, it could be any number of things still. It could be, he's just showing you like how similar the societies have grown together over the millennia via different means. It could be a comment on how the Necron tier view themselves, and be a comment on how the Imperium acts as itself. It could be any number of things. I like to think about it as just another connection in this long line of theory, in this long line of little dot points that forms a connection between humanity being Necron tier. Because I don't know, it's honestly I like the theory a lot. Or I put together the theory a lot because it is infinitely more interesting to me, the idea that humans themselves have a connection to the Necrons rather than them just being another thing the old ones made.
Yeah.
Because I hate that idea. It's boring to me. The idea is like, the old ones just made everything. The old ones made this. The old ones made that. It's a dumb answer to an interesting question, because in the setting itself, humanity is an upstart to everyone else. They're younger than the orcs. They're younger than the Eldar. I mean, the Tower of the New upstarts. Yeah, but that's a completely different book.
Love me too.
But like, in the time that humanity was made is a fraction of how the other races act, but they've grown in such power based off of everything. And you can say it's because all the other races are in a decline, and they are in a decline, but it's still, it's not all that. It's the connection of humanity having the connection to one of the oldest races in the universe. Because there's a lot you can do with that. It's like, could it possibly be that Necrons have some sort of familiar family connection to humans that could be expanded upon later? Will it like affect the relationship between like human cultures and the Necron cultures? Because there are some Necrons that view biological life as a necessity. I believe there's one Necron that arrived to a planet, killed its oppressors, and went, all right, now you worship me now.
Rather under new management.
I think it's also on talking back on like the base instinctual levels that like really connects the humans more to the Necrons than the Old Ones. It's like any of the species the Old Ones made, they were never made to conquer. They were never made to inherit the stars. And of course, we humans, we like doing, especially recently with like Helldivers 2 and stuff, the whole human boasting of like the human indomitable will, like adrenaline wasn't a myth. So the Necrons are the only other ones that do that.
That's a great point you bring up, because there's something that the Necrons focus on a lot, especially in the Twice Dead King book, and that is the idea of divine Heka, or what is simply referred to as will. It's the willpower of the Pharaon and the nobility, because Heka, their word for will. It's my divine will that this be reality, is what Eli was talking about earlier. And the willpower is something that is so heavily emphasized in humanity. In most of the Imperium books, it is always like the God Emperor's will, the will of the Chapter Master, the Inquisition's will.
Yeah.
That is a thing, a trait shared between the two races.
Yeah, and that is something orcs don't have, Eldar don't have. We don't, even the old ones themselves didn't have this. Otherwise, they would have just destroyed the Necrons on the first fight. But they still kept them around because they don't feel like they had to inherit the stars. But we, as a human, even from day one, when we were running around with sticks and stones and fire, we were looking up at the stars and we were like, oh, Ooga Booga wants Ooga Booga shiny.
I'm going to go punch that thing right in the
Shiny
goddamn
punch.
eye. How dare you?
Humanity inherited the Necrons' innate hate for stars. They're like, ooh,
I'm gonna eat
I'm
them.
gonna. The Emperor, first human to fucking suggest going to space. Hey, make me a spaceship. Why? What do you want to do? You see that glowing orb up there? Yeah? I'm gonna punch it.
I mean, even think about like Necron's disdain for anything Xenos to them.
Oh yeah, Necrons hate Xenos more than humans hate Xenos.
Yep.
Yeah. But there's always been Necrons are just as bad as the Imperium when it comes to like interspecies relations, but they seem to be willing to talk to humans.
Here's a counter argument, though. I wouldn't say that there's any faction in Warhammer 40k that isn't just incredibly racist, to be honest.
I mean, that's how it is when everyone's fighting wars against each other, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, out of all of it, I mean, in recent times, there's more writers that are trying to make like, oh, but they're allying, like the Ultramarines allied with the Tau, and I mean,
They did in like classic lore too.
yeah, but yeah, fair enough.
Kinda, yeah.
But it's less about humanity. It's more about the Necrons, because
Yeah.
the Necrons don't fucking talk to anybody.
Other than when they first wake up. And then that's last. You have 10 seconds to get off of this planet or we're going to kill all of you.
What are you doing in my lawn? Your lawn. I've been here since my birth. I don't give a shit. Get out. Imagine waking up one day. Imagine getting up and going to your living room. There's just a fucking dude in there. And you're just like, what are you doing in my house? You're like, this is my house. Like, not anymore. I was buried underneath the floorboard since you were born. You're like, what the fuck?
The Necrons also have a very strong sense of honor. They have a similar honor system to humanity, at least like older humanity maybe, but
That's also something, you know, being like consistent with the, or going on the topic of like how, you know, maybe humanity inherited some of the culture, you know, that Egyptian theme, so to say. It would be logical that included in that is that sort of honor bound system. You know, there is often a lot of, I feel like there's often a lot of like characters who just both in Necrons and Space Marines who just go, yes, a 1v1, truly the most honorable way to fight.
I mean, look at Imhotep. He had no reason to go fight Helbrecht, but he wanted to.
No,
Just because he
Yeah.
can.
Just because he can. Like that, like the sheer arrogance of humanity in the Necrons is like tat for tat for each of them.
Truly just a bunch of honor-bound bastards.
But yeah, that I think that's basically the crux. That's everything I have so far.
far.
I'm just constantly looking for more.
It's a working theory.
It's a working theory. It's it's up there. As far as crackpot, I don't necessarily would call it a crackpot theory because I genuinely think, like from a writing perspective, there are way too many connections between the two for it to just be crackpot. I think it's a good solid theory that is a super interesting premise that I would love to see expanded on.
I completely agree.
For the editor, please put in the thumbnail from the Lost Primarchs that where Red is standing in front of the board with all the red lines and explaining his notes. I need that for most of this episode.
It feels like if I'm doing the thumbnail for this episode, I'm just gonna do basically a redo of it.
Not just a bunch of scarabs on the wall.
Yeah. Just have like a scarab crawling over my face. Like, they're everywhere.
We'll just have Tom, who's standing in the foreground, getting dragged away by something.
I'm being dragged away by a wraith.
No, I think it's a really good theory.
Yeah,
you just slowly in the thumbnail, like I just have I'm replacing my arms with Necron stuff.
Yeah.
I think on the base level, there's so many things where it connects to, especially like on also just a evolutionary level, like how humans evolved, everything we did and everything we know in the 40k setting of how we even got to the point to meeting the Necrons. It all actually lines up very well in your theory, so I'm excited to see how it would evolve.
I think at the very least you could pretty confidently say that Necrons at least influenced humanity in some way.
100%.
For sure. Yeah. Well, I think that's a pretty good place to start wrapping it up, unless some of you guys have some closing words regarding this theory.
Number one.
Yeah, my closing words will be Eli's scream for his fucking sins. Come here! I'm Dominus Nox, everybody!
Let it be known there's an hour and a half of me talking about Necrons that does not exist.
Exactly. For sure.
They took away his free speech. He's going to the milk room. Run, Eli, run!
There's no running. You're on MySpace now.
Bonsoir, mes chéris. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you got this far, why don't you hit that like, smash the subscribe button, and rock that bell before you check out our other social medias, like Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. And if you're feeling extra saucy tonight, why don't you hop on over to our Patreon where you can help steer our content. And finally, join our Discord where you can talk to me and the rest of the gang. Alright, take care now and see you next time. Au revoir.
We gotta do Patreon questions now.
Yes, sir.
So don't stop recording.
Yeah,
You guys are recording?
Tom. I swear to God.
Eli, I'm gonna fucking get you.
I mean, Tom picked some questions, but I think they're terrible questions.
Let's see here.
Mainly because I don't think any of us play War. Do any of us play the tabletop?
Yeah, man.
You're probably the only one that plays it consistently.
Man, that's crazy. There's nobody plays the freaking game.
Why would it?
I do. A little bit.
Oh, there you go.
Otherwise,
I mean, I guess we can.
To be fair, I don't
have
actually know what I would answer for this first one.
Yeah, I don't have anything for that.
I have something for you, Linky. So when I think it was.
Hold up.
I guess I have something I could say too.
So patron Linky asked, was there ever a point in the game of Warhammer 40,000 where you were playing and said fuck it and pull a move that shouldn't work and the most brain dead thing you could do and inadvertently won you the game, or incredibly badass even if you didn't win the game? No, I don't have anything for that. I've played like 2 games of Warhammer 40k. Anyway, next.
Well, I mean, you had that. I was gonna bring up the example from our Kill Team game. You know, do you remember the fucking grenade you tossed into the down to?
Yeah, but that wasn't like a fuck it moment. I was consciously making that decision. It just inadvertently didn't kill the guy I was aiming at, it killed his friend behind him. Imagine that. Imagine throwing a grenade. It doesn't go off, but it goes off at you, but it kills your friend instead.
The first time I had one of these things happen, like right when the Horus Heresy tabletop game came out, which I think was 6th edition, 5th edition, something like that. I think 6th. Because at that point, of course, that's where the World Eater obsession began, and at this point it was mainly just Forge World models and things. So I had taken some of my old Space Marine models that were absolutely awfully painted, and I had like repainted them to the Neo World Eater color schemes, which was white and blue, and like covered in blood, and they weren't great, but you know, I was happy with them. And I remember one game where I was losing, because the thing is I ran, as every good World Eater player does, inducti spam, so it was 80 Marines on the tabletop, all with chain axes running in a straight line. That was just the tactic. So usually I lost, most of the time. It depends, like if enough of them made it, I would shred anything, but usually they just wouldn't make it. Because this was back in the time with like blast templates and things, so you would lose like half a unit in one shot. Pain. But I remember one day one of my inducti squads absolutely demolished, but I used to run all my inducti sergeants with Power Fist. So he had brought this I don't even know what kind of knight it was. It was like one of the original dinky knights, and it's absolutely shredded my army as Imperial Knights usually do. And then this one World Eater kept it in combat for 3 turns and then ended up killing it with his Power Fist. He just kept whiffing, rolling on it. But the thing is, of course, can't expect better, he dies in the explosion. Because he made it with like 6 squad mates, and turn 1 his squad mates were just instantly dead, but he had artificer armor, so he was able to last a little longer with his 2+ armor save, and he just kept saving, the person just kept whiffing on them, and at some point it was like, because he could just retreat the knight and just shoot it, but it was like, no, this is an honor thing. Like, this is about honor. We have to go. But he ended up taking down the knights, but it took his life, and I still have the model in the cabinet behind me. So I'll see if I can send a picture.
You're gonna have to post that guy so we can throw him up on the screen.
Hell yeah. Yeah, that's my hero story.
Perfect.
I once had, also in 6th edition, I believe. It might have even been 5th edition.
The golden times.
For real. I was at a tournament, and I was like 14 years old, maybe even younger. I had my 2 stealth suits battle Astartes the Grim in close combat. And this was back when characters only had 3 wounds on average. The stealth suits beat him in combat and did 2 wounds to him. He rolled double 1s on his saving throw. And it was freaking awesome.
Hell yeah, tower combat.
And then the other day I had a Gene Stealer called Biker, like the big one with the heavy weapon on him, so a jackal, I guess. I had him. He was fighting Angron in close combat, and he rolled 5+ invulnerable saves.
What a chad!
Easy,
bro. Easy. I fucking love that. That's awesome.
God damn. Well, my story is actually from the same Kill Team game as. Reds that we were talking about. This was like my second or third game of Kill Team ever. For context, I don't play fucking a lot of 40k. I did play a bit of 9th edition. I'll probably play a bit of 10th edition games whenever I meet the rest of the team. But Kill Team is mostly where it's at for me. And basically what happened was that I was playing my Chaos Legionary Kill Team, the 3 guys and 8 cultists with a dream, and it's I love that build. It's a stupid fucking list, but it works. So anyways, so we're playing objectives. Red is playing as the Assault Intercessor Kill Team, which is just basically SWAT team in space armor, and so basically I was playing objectives, he was playing Rainbow Six Siege, and I basically had a moment where I could potentially push a I think it was a cultist. I had basically been pushing slowly a cultist up the board towards like an objective that was on Red's side of the board, and the only way I managed to like get him there was because Red, who did not give a shit about the objectives, just basically fanned out all his troops and decided to fucking murder all of my guys. And we were on equal amounts of points, and it was like I think it was probably the last turn or something, and I basically take one of my dudes and just body block the fuck out of a space marine with him, and then on my next activation run this one little fucking dude all the way up to that little fucking objective and grab the point and manage to just eke out the victory, all thanks to those two little cultist boys who had the dream, and they gosh darn it, were they gonna achieve that dream.
That was the same game you shot one of my intercessors with a plasma gun and you rolled so poorly with it. It's just like...
I basically killed my own dude. I don't think it did...
Yeah.
Oh no.
I don't think it did any damage to you. It just... the plasma gun just blew up in his fucking face.
There's also the one where he kept shutting doors in the path of my intercessor sergeant.
Oh, yeah.
You wouldn't let him fight.
No, I don't want it.
I mean, the entire game I was open because we were playing on the Gallowdark terrain, and it's an action to open up a door and close a door. And Space Marines get the reactions, so all I did was open a door, shoot the pistol, then close the door again.
Dumb tactic, but hey, it works. It works. Anyways,
The next question is by... My overlay is dark, so I can't really...
Dante the Cobalt.
Dante thy Cobalt. Would Vulcan boop the snoot of the Hive Tyrant? I know the answer you want, so I'm going to say the opposite now. You would get eaten, almost assuredly, because all Vulcan does is fucking cry and die.
Oh, don't do it like that. You're right, though. He'd boop it into the freaking ground is what he'd do with the hammer.
The guy is so fucking emotional that he would guard an inert pile of ash if you told him it used to be a puppy.
Poor Vulcan. I haven't read the Salamander's Horus Heresy books, but every Lore Crimes episode we somehow get on the topic of how bad they are. Every time.
No. It's basically what we do, but with Space Wolves. There we go. That's one off the bingo card.
I'm a proud Space Wolves enjoyer.
Have you thought about picking a better fucking Legion to like?
No, they were my first Space Marines when I was a kid, and I've just
Look, I'm gonna say something that everyone needs to hear. Space Wolves are the most generic version of a Viking, and you only ever pick them if you think that you're a fucking Viking in high school.
I was 13, to be fair.
And the themes continue.
In my defense, they were actually cool in 7th edition and prior, and now they're just
They were never cool.
Now they're just freaking Primaris Space Marines painted gray. Who cares? I hate oh my god, whatever. Let's not talk about that right now.
In my opinion, 30k era Space Wolves, super cool. 40k era Space Wolves.
You should if you just find their 5th edition codex and flip through it and look at the art, you'll freaking love them. Their aesthetic was so cool, and now they're just nothing burger.
I about side note, I about lost my fucking mind. I was I have a tattoo of Fenrir, the wolf from Norse mythology, because I like Norse mythology, on my underarm, and I was at the game store and someone saw it and he's like, "Oh, you like Space Wolves?" And I wanted to fucking smack him. I wanted to smash his fucking temple against the goddamn game table. Alright,
that's very funny.
I hate that individual.
I want to like the Space Wolves, but then I remember the Logan Grimnar chariot exists, and I just don't like it anymore.
Santa Claus, baby, Santa Claus.
Anyway, we could sit here and talk trash about the Space Wolves all goddamn day. Especially I can, because I think they suck and irredeemable and unwashed, but unfortunately we could not. Anyway, thank you everyone for joining us at a really scuffed episode as thanks for Eli. I'm pretty sure Tom would say some
Audience, if you like read the potents and read the bones, maybe you can scry our lost episode. You can hear it on the winds or something.
Scry into the alternative timeline.
Anyway, thank you everybody. Good night. You'll see the Patreon shit at the fucking outro. Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye bye.